let's look at these comp picks, shall we? Make this bigger screen so you guys can see this. So Nick Cordy over at Over the Cap, I mean, he's like always 90, 98, 99% correct in his compensatory pick projections. We know there's a formula. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know it includes free agents lost, free agents you signed, unrestricted free agents you've signed, the contracts to which they are signed, and also playing time. I don't know if like other success like Pro Bowls or anything like that are part of that formula, but Nick knows the formula and he's been predicting it. And he predicts that the Ravens will get 4 compensatory picks in the draft. Now, it starts with a pretty good one. They're going to get a 4th rounder for losing Patrick Queen to the Steelers. They're going to get a 5th round pick for Jadeveon Clowney. They will get another 5th round pick for losing Geno Stone to the Bengals. And then they'll get a 6th round pick for losing Kevin Zeitler. The Ravens will be picking number 27 overall as they were knocked out in the divisional round. So that brings their total to 11 draft picks come April. This is good news. And it's good news for a few reasons. Number one, having another 4th round pick, that's massive. 2 more 5th rounds, that's big. The more swings you can get, the better. But even more than that, this allows Eric DeCosta to move around the board. It allows him to trade. He can trade up, but on top of that, he also he uses these types of things for in-season trades for actual players, all that kind of stuff. This allows him to feel more at ease to do those types of things. And by the way, these guys that were lost, I want to ask you guys, on this list, are there any guys that you were like, Eric DeCosta should have re-signed? Kevin Zeitler would be one for me. I really wanted at the time Jadeveon Clowney to be back. The Ravens ended up number 2 in the league with sacks. I feel like the Ravens were fine with that as much as I would have liked him to come back. Now, Geno Stone, that hurt in the beginning of the season, obviously, but then Ardarius Washington stepped up. They benched Marcus Williams, and they cut Eddie Jackson. Geno Stone would have been nice, but I don't think at the time I was saying, yeah, they got to keep Geno Stone. Not with what they were paying Marcus Williams and Derek Hamilton already being an all-pro. Patrick Queen, there was no way they were going to pay Patrick Queen. And they definitely went through some growing pains, both with Patrick Queen and Geno Stone being gone, but I think by the end of the season, they overcame it. That Kevin Zeitler one is the one that I feel like the Ravens really could have. I don't think he would have cost too much. I think it was one of those where they were trying to cut him. The old saying of like, you want to move on from them before they start to fall off. And Kevin Zeitler did not fall off. And the Ravens could have used him in guard play. Again, though, by the time they got to the playoffs, I don't think any of these losses hurt the Ravens by the time they got to the playoffs. We just talked about that. So anyway, the Ravens will end up with another 4th, 2 5ths, a 6th, and they will now have 11 draft picks. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the list. I'm going to make this a bit bigger too for myself over on my end. Here are the 17 Ravens who will be unrestricted free agents come March 12th. That is when free agency officially begins, March 12th. That'll also mark the anniversary of when Bobby and I started doing live streams, lunch day live streams, instead of recorded 30-minute episodes. And they were only supposed to be an hour lunch long, but we all know they got up to 2 hours. And here I am solo up to 54 minutes already, and still got some content to get to here. But here's the list of 17 players. And I've put next to them either yellow, green, or red arrows for some of them, trying to predict who I think will be coming back. So starting the list, we got Ronnie Stanley, Patrick McCary, Tre'Davious White, Patrick Ricard, Nelson Aguilar, Malik Harrison, Josh Jones, Brent Urban, quarterback Josh Johnson, returner receiver Steve Sims Jr., Deontay Harder, Hardy, another wide receiver and returner. Chris Board, Ben Cleveland, Brennan Stevens, Christian Welch, linebacker, but big-time special teams. Trayvon Mullen, Tylan Wallace, and then restricted free agents are Darius Washington and Christian Matthew. And then the ERFA, Owen Wright. Okay. Now, some of the bigger names here. Let's talk about some of these bigger names. Ronnie Stanley, Patrick McCary. Let's start with these two. Two offensive linemen. I put yellows by their names. If I were Eric DaCosta, seeing that Ronnie Stanley was probably the Ravens comeback player of the year, left tackles do not grow on trees. If he were to leave, you'd probably move Roger Rosengarten over to the left side, which he started as, and he didn't move over there until he had a lefty quarterback, and so they wanted to move him to the right side so he could protect his blind side. Roger Rosengarten surely is capable of going back. Roger Rosengarten just absolutely couldn't ask for much more in his rookie year. So they could move him over there, or they could offer Ronnie Stanley a modest contract and see if he wants to go out and test it. I would make him an offer that I would feel comfortable with. I don't want to mess around with Lamar Jackson and his safety back there. If you bring back Ronnie and you already have Roger and keep them in the second year, Ronnie in his second year on the right-hand side, those are solid bookends. And I feel comfortable with Lamar Jackson back there. Now, I still would feel good about drafting another tackle, given Ronnie Stanley's history with injuries. But he overcame them this year, and he played well. He might be, if he does end up hitting the market, he's probably going to be one of the top 10 ranked free agents going into free agency. Now, Ronnie may want to go and test the market. He put on a great year of tape, a great year. And he might go out and be able to get paid really well. But if I were the Ravens, I would definitely make him an offer before March 12th to see if you can retain him. And then if he goes out and gets a better deal, then that might happen. So that's why I put him in yellow. I would make that offer. Patrick McCary, I think I would also make him an offer. But I feel like I saw him as a starting left tackle. I like him better as a super sub. So I'm not paying him a ton. His average salary on his last contract was $5.1 million. I would give less. Ronnie Stanley's was $7.5 million. I would offer less to Patrick McCary. Now, again, he may want to go out and test the market, or the Ravens could be like, you know what? This was fun. So that's why, again, I put him in yellow. Patrick Ricard, I put him in green. I think he's going to be re-signed. I think he spoke with the media during his locker room cleanout yesterday. He told reporters, here it is from Jamison Hensley. He made it clear that he wants to return to the Ravens and, quote, I want to retire here. I think it makes all the sense in the world to bring back Patrick Ricard. Most teams don't even use fullbacks, especially not in the way the Ravens do. You got Derrick Henry under contract again. Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell, all going to return. Bring back the dude who clears the way. Bring back this 300-pound fullback that clears the way. He wants to be here. It makes sense for him to come back. He's still playing at a high level. I think he will indeed be back. Nelson Aguilar, I don't know that they'll re-sign him. Malik Harrison, I should have put a yellow or maybe even a green next to him. He's kind of one of those dudes that doesn't get a lot of fanfare, doesn't make a lot of noise. He's not like this sack artist, but he sets the edge. He brings a lot of physicality. So at a very, very inexpensive deal, I could see him returning. So I wish I put a yellow next to him. Josh Jones, tackle. I don't see him returning. Brent Urban, he's 33, might be 34 by the time the season rolls back around. I could see him being like a training camp signing, kind of see where you're at. He's always just a solid dude, so I put him at yellow. Josh Johnson, I would like to upgrade at backup. Again, Lamar has finished several seasons in a row now. But I would like to upgrade there. Josh Johnson will be probably 39 by the time the season rolls around. Steve Sims Jr. I mean, he could return, but I don't see that. Deontay Hardy, Chris Board, and Christian Welch. We'll talk about both of them, both special teams guys. I can maybe see them coming back again more towards training camp. These aren't high priority free agents, right? But I could see them coming back and playing a special teams role. Both of them good there. And then just maybe some depth there at inside linebacker. Ben Cleveland, he gone. He gone. We all know he and John Harbaugh have not seen eye to eye. Ben Cleveland's going to get signed somewhere. And I can see him starting somewhere. I'm sure Ben is like, peace out. I want to go and get a chance to start. I'm never going to get a chance under John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh is like, yeah, you're not. You're not going to get a chance under me. Ben, you and your squirrel-eating ways, I've always liked you, Ben. And listen, I was pulling for you. Daniel Faalele played a lot better than I ever thought he could. He ended up, my goodness, being a Pro Bowl alternate, even got some All-Pro votes. You certainly did. Daniel Faalele did way better than I ever had dreamed of, because I wasn't even dreaming it at all. But he gone. Love you. Hope you have a great NFL career. Hope you get a chance to start somewhere. Brandon Stevens, in my book, he gone. It's just too much of a liability. You guys saw it. Right away on the very first drive from the Bills and Josh Allen, they were targeting this guy. I love him as a human being. The great guy. He's more successful than you could ever ask from a guy who's transitioning from running back. The Ravens gave him ample opportunity to figure out that last split second because he's in the hip pocket, but he could not finish. In my view, he gone. Already talked about Christian Welch, Trayvon Mullen. I can maybe see him coming back, but, one of those, again, training camp signings and then maybe a practice squad guy. Tylan Wallace. I think this one will be interesting. Listen, every time Tylan is not the obviously biggest imposing threat, not the most imposing physical force. But man, what I'd love to bring him back is like a fifth wide receiver. I mean, every single time this man gets an opportunity, he seems to come through. Whether it's a punt return for a touchdown, like he did against the Rams, or when he had Lamar's back when Bateman and Zay were down, and Lamar's pushing the pocket out to the right, running out, and then he throws it to Tylan in the fourth quarter when they have to get down there. Tylan comes up big. I like Tylan Wallace. I put a green there. I don't know if he's actually going to come back. Maybe he's going to want to go test the market. Are you guys on the same page with me? Do you guys love Tylan? I like Tylan. Yeah. Well, Mike has him as wide receiver 3. I'm with Evan. Let Nelly go. Let me look at some of these things. Tylan 3, Wallet Tez 4. Prefer Tylan more number 4. Can I get another 3 that would be better insurance? And I mean insurance in the like a Deontay Johnson, but a guy that is actually going to play and isn't putting up fits. So I don't know if I put Tylan as always a wide receiver number 3, but I can go with 4. And I do like Nelly, but I don't think he'll be back. Some people got Walker as number 3. I don't know if he's going to be ready for that, but maybe he'll grow. Maybe we'll grow. I like how Eileen spelled Thailand as in like the country, Thailand. That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. Pick up one more guy. Pick up one more guy and put Tylan as number 4. And maybe Tez can beat Tylan as number 4. But I like Tylan and Tez as like competing for number 4. I'd like to bring in one more guy as depth again, because if Bateman or Zay were to go down earlier, you know what I mean? I don't know that I love Tylan as number 2 in that case. You know what I mean? So, okay. But we're mostly on the same page here, guys. We're all in agreement that it's Tylan over Nelson Aguilar. Arias Washington. So he's for sure going to be back as a restricted free agent. So I'm just wondering at this point, though, do you give him a Rashad Bateman type deal, or that is definitely, fair, like inexpensive, but you want to keep him around? I wonder, even as well as he's played, if he can even get a huge contract. He's not going to hit the open market this year, but you go ahead and pay him and try to lock him in for 3 years, right? The way they kind of did with Bateman at a very modest deal. I kind of feel like he's earned it. But you do have to keep in mind he does have an injury history, and that could pop back up because the dude is 5'8" and like $180, and he throws his body into people like he's Kyle Hamilton's size. Like he's Roquan Smith's. Like he plays with the heart. He plays like he has the body of Roquan Smith. You know what I mean? Just totally unafraid, looking for smoke everywhere on that field. And hits people. And sometimes he comes in and he hits people hard, and then he just kind of bounces off, or he'll punch something, try to punch the ball out. And if he had the force of Roquan, it would have popped out. But I love him. I love him. So either way, he's going to be here. I just wonder, do you give him a 3-year deal now, or do you like watch another year of him playing at this level and then offer him like a modest 3-year deal? Either way, he's going to be back in 2025. I don't know, man. He's right up there with the guys I love the most on this team. And then another restricted free agent in ERFA, already named them. So that's kind of my predictions in yellow, green, and red of what will happen with these 17. But guys, bigger point here. Look at this list. You can maybe say Ronnie Stanley or Patrick Ricard. Out of those two guys, if the Ravens lost all of them, aren't they already starting with the Super Bowl roster? See, like every single one of those guys is lost. You're going to have to replace a left tackle. That's massive. And I just can't even put Patrick Ricard there because I feel that confident that Ricard's coming back. He said he wants to retire Raven. Fullbacks are not expensive. He's coming back. So say like you lost all 16 other players. Are you not already starting with the Super Bowl caliber roster? Nate says you're starting with the wild card winning roster. Okay, fair enough. I think it's Super Bowl caliber. You got to stop turning the ball over. You got to get some takeaways. But the beautiful thing is now you've got 11 draft picks. I don't think the Ravens are going to make it. Just let me just put this out there. Do not get your hopes up for a massive free agent splash. I just don't think it's coming. Maybe some modest ones. Maybe a left guard. Can you get me a left guard? Can you give me that? I would like one. But that's not. But who calls a left guard a free agent splash? Right. But that's the beauty. It's the gut punch, but it's also the beauty of this. It's a gut punch because you had a good enough roster to win the Super Bowl, and maybe you could have competed twice in a row, but the foundation is so there, and it's only going to get better through the draft and a couple of veteran free agents. But get me some pass rushers in that draft. Get me some more offensive linemen in that draft. Protect Lamar. Get some depth elsewhere. But my goodness, are they starting from a great spot? KVN is not an unrestricted free agent. He will be back as long as he doesn't retire. I'm seeing you in the chats asking these questions. 7 figure saying, well, Sarah, no splash, then no chip. I disagree. Turnovers, then no chip. But yeah, I mean, if your definition of the splash is the same as me, which is would be like a T. Higgins or like what did somebody say the other day in the super chat? T. Higgins or Tyreek Hill. It's not happening. They are moving forward with Zay Flowers and Bateman as their top 2 receivers. And now they're building. Maybe Tylen comes back. You've got Tez Walker. If they get a wide receiver, it's going to be a number 3 type or less. Yeah, I mean, you've got KVN coming back. Odafe Owe is going to be coming back. I mean, it's going to essentially be. I mean, the foundation is set. The foundation is set. Bateman doesn't need an extension. He was just extended. He's got 2 more years. He's got 2 more years. People are saying he needs to be extended. No. What you're doing is you're going into the draft for depth, or maybe a guy, with your first rounder. It's like, well, can he compete for a starting spot somewhere? But it's quite the foundation. I'll say that. A little bit more from the locker room clean out. Ronnie Stanley, who we're talking about here, pending free agent. He said he hasn't thought about his future. He's still processing the loss. So he's going to have to switch gears very soon here. And I promise you, his agent has thought about his future. And I'm guessing he and the Ravens may have already touched base maybe a little bit. Patrick McCary, he also said he hasn't thought about his future. So those are pretty, which I get from them, right? Like they're in their mind, they're like, we're going to beat the Bills and we're going to go see KC, right? So I hope that they hadn't thought about it much. But that will change, and we will get more information on the Ravens' plans this offseason when John Harbaugh and Eric DeCosta speak tomorrow at 11.